Welcome all for another video on Sitecore JSS GraphQL examples. In this video, we are looking at a GraphQL query execution example different from our previous example. That is, in our previous video, we saw the GraphQL example to be executed at the rendering level, which modifies the layout service output. This type of execution can only help us in executing the GraphQL query at the page load. If in case we have a requirement to fetch data from Sitecore from client side, we should follow a different approach. In this video, we will see a special client object named Apollo Client with which we can do a client-side execution of GraphQL query. Example. I'll go to Bootstrap, get Bootstrap, examples. I'll use the models and use this example here. Okay, this is the model pop-up. Okay, so it is having a title. I'll hard code it as of now and not going to bring it from the code, but other stuffs like this one will come from the corresponding details of the brand. Okay, and this model pop-up comes up when you click on your component. There you go. So this is the output we have, and we have the product specific component which we created. Okay, we created a product specific component. This should not display like this. It should be a pop-up as we saw. Okay, that pop-up we are trying to bring that pop-up here. We will do that and try to display the pop-up accordingly. Okay, great. Okay, fine. So let me show you the HTML code that we are trying to build. So this is the model pop-up. You have a li here. Okay, three lis. You can see three lis. It's nothing but the specifications, different specifications with the different icons. So there is an image for each specification, and there is a display text for each specification. That is a title display text, and a description display text. Dot 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 on product brand card. And what I need here, so we have basic features, basic specifications, and brand color, right? So primary color first of all, and primary color is, again, it's a multi-list field, so it will have a target items, and this will be a color template. So I'll go and add the template there on product color, and that will have my color RGB name as the title, and color RGB name as the title, and color RGB as the brief, and color image reference as my. So for the image reference, you have you might have to give the complete JSON value to get the SRC and ALT and everything else, the width and height and stuff like that, right? Okay, so this one color RGB name, I'll call this as what was my component? In my component, it is a model pop-up, right? So product specific. So product specific title, product specific brief. I'll call that like that. So it's product spec title. This one is product spec title, and this one is product spec text, and this one is product spec icon. Okay, great. Let me execute this. Came up. So you have target items, primary color. So this I can change, right? Um, okay, let it be like this. So we have primary color first that comes up, and okay, let it be like this. I'll come to that later. Um, and what do we have here after that? Um, yes, after primary color we need what was the next field? It was some basic feature or something, right? So basic features, again it's a multi-list field, target items, and again it has the necessary specs. I cannot if I'm writing query like this, will I be able to reuse the atom? I think I can, but how? Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll see as and when it comes. So target item is on dot 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 on. It is actually features. So product features. Target item is on product features, and we have feature reference as the title for us. Value. So this one is our product spec title. This one is our product spec title, and then we have feature brief. This is my product spec text. Product spec text. Value, and finally I have my image. Feature image. I'll call that as icon. So this will be a JSON value. I'll call that as product spec icon. Okay, now that is basic features. Similarly, I'll take off that. And then it is specifications. Again, it will be target item. Dot 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 on product specification, and you have specification name, specification value, specification value, and image. specification image, which is a JSON value, and you have this is product spec title, this is product spec text, this is product spec icon. Then done with the basic specification. Next one is our so specification done, feature done, offers. Offers again, it's a multi-list field, so target items dot 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 on on product offers. So there will be an offer start date, offer reference. This will be a little different. We'll come to that. Okay. This field will be a little different because we have a start date and end date. How to deal with that? We'll check. Okay. Offer percentage. And we have offer start date. Offer end date. Then offer image. Okay, that's the query, guys. Okay, let me execute this. I'll take a copy of this query. So let me go into my code. Where is my code? So this is my query. This is my code. So this is what I want to display in my component. Okay. This is what I want to display in my component. Right? Okay. Fine. Okay. Product specifics. So let me name this component as product specifics. Whatever the data type I'm getting here, it has to come from the query. It has to come. It cannot come from the props. It cannot come from the page load layout service. It has to take from the internal query. Okay, so I have to write the query inside this component. Yeah. Okay. Before I do that, I can declare the type required for this. Yes, I can declare the type required for this. I'll go to the types. Under product card, I'll say product card specifics fields dot ts. Okay, and the type is, I'll just copy the existing product card actually not required. I can type it on my own. So export interface product card specifics fields. So this is the at the higher level, higher end. At the higher end, what we have, I have where is my output playground? Yes, I have a primary color and then basic features and then basic specifications and offers. Inside that I have my product specific title. These target items are all common. I mean, like everything will have same value, all target items, but outside we have different primary color, basic features and stuff like that. We also had
Here we are getting some blank object also, right? It will
yeah,
create
blank
issue.
object, because I'm just thinking that's because the ID that we have supplied is at the top and we have a multi-list field inside that. That is the reason why we are getting blank object. We saw that, right? It is giving you the highlights. So these blank objects are, let's say for example, I'll just put under the result, I'll put the ID and name and underscore underscore type, execute. See, it is bringing this 4D India main, the multi-list values as well. I'm not sure why. It's a search query and we have given path and equal to this one. Okay, then I can do one more thing. I will add one more and condition, one more condition here, and say templates and give the corresponding template. I have to add one more filter for the templates so that it will ignore all the items, sub items. In my declaration, in my code, I'm expecting this. So I will be having a name, which is a string. I'll be having a name, which is a string. And if I want, I can put a template name also there. And then I'll be having a primary color, which will have a target item inside it, which will have an object, and that object will have a target items field in the inside it, target items field inside it, and that is an array. Okay, that is an array of another item. Okay, I'll come to that item because we are yet to create that item. Okay, it's an array of another item, semicolon. Similarly, I have basic features. Again, it is of object, and that object is having a field target items. The next one is basic specifications. Again, it is having target item, then offer. Offers and target item. Okay, so then I have to create the type for the array. Okay, so it is nothing but I'll create a new file, call it as specifics detail fields.ts. Okay, so export interface, do the same name there. And there we have product specific title, which will be having a value in it, which is of type string. And then expect text, value, which is of type string. Then next one is having a JSON value, which will be having a value, and that value will be having a couple of fields, src, which is of type string, alt, which is of type string. Okay, right. So now this guy will be the array here. I'll import it. So add an import for this. Done. That's all. Okay, we have defined the types for the component. Now, how this type is going to come to my code? If it is a normal component, I could have just directly added it as part of the interface here. I can just add the field as interface and expect it to come over here, use it here. So if it is a normal component, but this is a client-side component where it has to get this data on click of something. So it's a client-side data. Okay, I have to write the query at the client side. So our way, we are going to use something called Apollo client. Under library, under src, under library, I'm going to create a new folder. I'll call that as GraphQL custom client. Custom client. GraphQL custom. And I will add a file called Apollo client.js. Apollo client.js. We have to install one library. Okay. I have already installed in my machine. I'll just show you the command to install. You have to install something called, yeah, npm install apollo client / client GraphQL. Fine. After doing the installation, you can do an import, and we import an Apollo client from Apollo client. So the moment you install the npm package, you will get this. Along with the Apollo client, we also need in-memory cache. I'll tell you why this in-memory cache is used. Okay. After importing, let's create a client. Constant, I'll say custom GraphQL client. So we'll call this file as also with the same name, custom GraphQL client. Okay. Custom GraphQL client equal to new Apollo client, and it can accept your URI. This is your GraphQL endpoint, and there is a cache by default to this code Apollo client. So I'm creating this in-memory cache for that. And export default custom GraphQL client. Okay. Then we'll go back to our component. I'm not going to use anything from the layout service. I've removed the import. And instead, I'm going to import from my Apollo client. Apollo slash client. What what am I going to import? GraphQL, and I'm importing a method called useQuery. GraphQL and useQuery. And then I also need the client which I just created, the Apollo client which I just created, the client object. Okay. So I can say import test, sorry, what was the client object which we created? It's custom GraphQL client, right? Custom GraphQL client, custom GraphQL client from, it is inside actually src slash library slash GraphQL custom slash custom GraphQL client. So now I can use this inside my component. I'm going to the component and say constant. I have to put a variable. Okay, let's say test variable here, and say use query. Use query is the method from the Apollo client. Use query, and I have to give the query name here. So probably I'll just say query underscore name, or query underscore. I'll just simply say query, comma, and I have to provide the client object. So client is my custom GraphQL client object, which I created from the other file, imported from the other file. Okay, right? So first use query. For this I have to have the query. So I will write the query here. I can write the query in a separate file and import it. As of now, I'll write the query here directly. Then we can improvise that. So okay. So I'll just say constant product underscore specifics underscore query. Okay, I'll just give a meaningful query equal to GraphQL and using a tilde symbol. So this is the string interpolation symbol. string interpolation symbol. So I have to write my query inside this. So this is my GraphQL query. I'll copy it and I'll paste it inside my component here. So I have my query copy pasted. Okay, this one product specifics query is having the corresponding query. So I'll send that in the use query here. I might not need this interface. I'll remove it because I'm not going to get any data from layout service. This use query, let us investigate this. So this use query is actually accepting a query as the first parameter. It can be a document node. Document node is nothing but the one which you see on the line number 5, constant product specific query equal to GQL, right? That GQL is the document node object. So it converts the string, the query string, that whatever you are giving, and convert that into a document node and provides to it. Okay. And then the next one is the query hook options. So the next parameter is the query hook options, and query hook option is nothing but the GraphQL client which you are giving. Okay, and there can be an optional variable finally, that is query result. So this method actually returns, you see here the description, it says when your component renders use query returns an object from Apollo client that contains loading, error and data. So it contains what? Loading, error and data properties you can use to render your UI. So I will get loading, error and data. Okay. If there is any problem in my query execution, it will give the error in the error object. If it is under loading, if it is in progress or something, it will give the status in the loading object, and once the data is complete, it will provide the data in the data object. Okay, so this loading, error and data, see, loading is a boolean. When it is loading, it gives you a boolean. Error is an actually of type Apollo error, and data is of type any. It can be of any type, right? So if loading, that is, it is a boolean, right? If it is loading, I'm just returning a p tag saying loading data. So
See,
data in progress.
rather
Sorry.
than check rather than checking loading, right? Loading, shouldn't we check the error?
Yep. We'll check that. If error, that is, if there is any error available, if the object is there, then again we can have different things here. Instead of returning the hard-coded text, I can say return a particular animation. So loading means it will just return a animation which just rotates and something, so that it informs the people that it is loading, right? This is the error. So we will just type in error here and bring in the message from the error object. So error dot message, bring in the message from the error object. Okay, and if not equal to data, that is, if the data is empty, we can say no data found. I'll end everything with the semicolon. Okay, only when the data is available, then it will finally goes here. It finally goes here. Okay, only when data is available, it finally goes here. Okay, but there is one more stuff here. One more stuff. What? It is a model pop-up, right? We are actually talking about a model pop-up, and that model pop-up has to come up on clicking on something. Somebody has to click on something, so the pop-up comes, and that's when it loads the data, right? Right. So for that, what we do is we'll create a couple of variables in the JSX element. So for this product specifics, I'll convert this into a React component. It's JSX only. So before this, in the properties, I'll add couple of variables. Show model, and handle case. Okay, sorry, and not case, handle close. So if the model comes up, I have to close it, right? If the model comes up, I have to close it. So for closing that, we need a handler. We need a method. So both show model is a boolean. If it is true, you show the model. If it is false, you hide the model. Okay. And handle close is a method, a function which handles the close. If you click on that handle close, it will go and change the state value to false, so that the model gets closed. So we are maintaining the model closure and hiding and displaying in a NextJS state value. NextJS state value. Okay. So as of now, let's add these two variables here. And then what else we can do? It's a variable, right? It has to be. So what's the error it's showing? So binding element show model implicitly has an any type. So it is saying you're trying to do a any type model. Okay. So maybe we can provide some type for this. Okay. I will add a type for this. I'll say interface product specifics props. This is the property of the product specifics component, and I will have two variables in it, that is show model, which is of type boolean, and this is my handle close method, which is of type method, and the return type is void. It's not returning anything, so return type is void. So this interface we are going to map to this particular class here. So that mapping we can do like this. Instead of creating it as JSX element, I can say this guy is react.fc of type product specific props. This is of type product specific props, and that's how these props are been sent. Okay, so product specific props equal to the props and lambda your code. Okay, now it will still throw you an error, or it will still complain. What it is complaining now is are unused. All destructured elements are unused. This is the destructuring of our props. It's saying that you have not used it. Okay, that's fine. We can use it here. When the show model is true, else you simply display null. So you don't display anything. You display this component only when it is true. Otherwise, you just don't do anything. Just say null. Okay. And handle close, like if the model is showing, if the pop-up is showing, you have to handle it, right? So that is a button here. It says great thanks. Okay. So in this button, we will add an on-click method which will call the handle close handler. So what this handle close will do, it will close the pop-up. If the model is already open, it will close the pop-up.
Thanks for tuning in. Let's see how to use the result fetched from this query in our next video. Stay tuned.